Hey, shalom, shalom, Israel. Can y'all hear and see me? Can you hear and see me? Yeah, all praises. Looks like everybody can see me. Hey, shalom. I'm Officer Ray Well with IUIC Raleigh. History in the AM. Dealing with the death of Absalom. As I've been teaching, I think this is probably the fourth class, maybe the fifth. I think it's the fourth. And it's kind of coming to the conclusion, the end of Absalom's life. We'll be dealing with 2 Samuel 18 and 19. And I'm gonna go over a brief recap of what we talked about before, just in case there's a lot of classes, so get you up to speed. Who Absalom is? This is one of the sons of King David, who made himself out to be king. He was treacherous. He did some of the most vile, repugnant stuff in the Bible. He slept with his father's concubines, his father's lesser wives, in front of all Israel. And it's part of a punishment David endured because he had Uriah the Hittite killed. And then he took Uriah's wife to be his own wife. So God decided, hey, this is how you're going to be judged through your family. All right, so we're going to get right to it. Like I said, brief recap. Let's look at, I'll just go through kind of all Absalom, just real quick. Oh, start with how he looked. 2 Samuel. The most famous thing about him is his hair. Also proves the Bible is a black man's book. Watch the 2 Samuel, chapter 14, and verse 25. But in all Israel, there was none to be so much praised as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot, even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him. That's how David looked. No blemishes. AKA, that is ruddy. That's what ruddy means. Ruddy means no blemishes, of a beautiful countenance. All right, let me throw up some imagery. It says, verse 26, and when he polled his head, for it was at every year's end that he polled it, that means his hair, he had to cut it at the end of the year. It said, because the hair was heavy on him, therefore he polled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. So, depending on where you look, that's several pounds of hair. Again, we don't have the ancient measurements, but it's estimated at a couple pounds, maybe 5-6 pounds of hair. Now, and also, I don't know if I still have that image, but I went to ChatGTP and asked, how much hair would a white man have to have 5 pounds of hair? And the ChatGTP said he needs 40 feet of hair. So we know the Bible's not talking about them. The Bible's talking about us. You so-called blacks, Hispanics, you Native Americans descend from the royal bloodlines of the Israelites. You descend, if you're the tribe of Judah, you descend out of the line of King David. You come from this lineage. That's why hair is like that. We also going to talk, the tribe of Benjamin is mentioned here. You so-called West Indians, you Jamaicans, you Trinidadians, those from Barbados, the Caribbean islands. You come from the 12 tribes of Israel. You could tell that by how you look. You could tell that because of the curses of Deuteronomy, the 28th chapter, that fell upon the children of Israel, our people. So I'm going to read that again. It says, verse 26, and when he polled his head, for it was at every year's end that he polled it, because the hair was heavy on him. Therefore he polled it. So many of us, we could grow our hair long. You get a big enough afro, it's going to be cumbersome. It's going to be heavy on you, especially if you got some oil in it. Just a little bit of oil. You're like, man, this thing is all over my head. You put them images back up. Man, this thing heavy and hot. Imagine you got that level of afro. We know that this is a black man. He said, therefore he polled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. So that's a description of the man. All right. Let's see. Let me pull something else up. Contrary to that image. They say this is Absalom. You look up Absalom on Google, they're going to show you a white guy with thin blonde hair. Now, this is a scene of Absalom's death. We're going to come back to this. But you trust Google with your life, it's going to show you this white man. It's like if you Google Christ, it's going to show you a white man. You Google Moses, it's going to show you a white man. And it's not going to make sense. This image does not make sense. Caucasian hair ain't getting caught in no tree and you just hanging there. But we're going to go through that. All right. So I'm going to go real brief through some history, then bring us to a conclusion. 2 Samuel chapter 13, verse 1. And it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister whose name was Tamar. And Amnon, the son of David, loved her. So there was an incestual relationship budding. And it ended in a rape. Amnon, another son of David, raped his sister Tamar. And Absalom took issue with it and put him to death. Let's jump down. 2 Samuel. I'm going to jump to the rape. 2 Samuel chapter 13, verse 10. It says, and Amnon said unto Tamar, bring the meat into the chamber, that I may eat of thine hand. And Tamar, his sister, took the cakes which she had made, and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. Amnon had made himself appear to be sick, based on counsel from a wicked Negro, so that he could lure his sister alone, so he could lay with her like a demon. Verse 11, and when she had brought them to him to eat, he took hold of her and said unto her, come lie with me, my sister, you nasty devil, you demon. It says, and she answered him, nay, my brother, do not force me, don't rape me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not thou this folly. So she said, don't do this evil. He did it. It said, verse 14, howbeit he would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her, that's rape, and lay with her. You GMS brothers or whatever camp that teaches that garbage. Then Amnon hated her exceedingly. That's what rape is. It's akin to murder. Murder traces back to hatred. That's what this was. That's why once he fulfilled his lust, it became hatred. That's why we know it's not of God. Anyone talks about that. That's evil. And no, it's not necessarily the 10 commandments. That's why we know there's more commandments than 10. You got to go to Deuteronomy 22 and verse 25 to read about things like this. The rest of the laws. That's why we got to keep all the commandments of God. There's no specific number. You got to keep the commandments of God and faith in Christ. It says, verse 15, and Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Amnon said unto her, arise, be gone. Threw his sister out. Now watch this. I'm going to jump down. Again, we're just briefly going over the history. So Amnon is the brother, and Tamar is also the sister of Absalom. It's a nasty family affair. Let's jump down to verse 20, 8. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, mark ye now when Amnon's heart is merry with wine. Wait till he's nice and wait till he's good. And when I say unto you, smite Amnon, then kill him. Fear not. Have not I commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant. And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. So his brother gave commandment. Absalom, who we've been reading about, this wicked demon, the usurper of David's throne, and this is going against his father. His father didn't commission for his son to be put to death. Absalom took it upon himself, like, I'm going to kill this dude. This is evil. I don't care what nobody says. He commanded his servants, kill my brother. Wait till he get that wine in him, put him to death on my mark. It says, verse 29, and the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, every man gat him up on his mule, and fled. So that was that issue. After that, Absalom fled. He went and stayed with his in-laws. Stayed with I'm gonna go to verse 37. Tell you, verse 37. Absalom fled and went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, king of Geshur, and David mourned for his son every day. So Absalom fled, went to Geshur, and was there 3 years. I said in-laws, but I misspoke. He went to his mother's side. Went over there to his mother's side. It's not necessarily your in-laws. So he had fled, but then he ended up coming back. But when he came back, he didn't deal with his father right. He avoided him for years. Watch this. Jump into 2 Samuel, chapter 14, verse 28. It says, so Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem and saw not the king's face. He didn't check in. Something off about that off gate. Like, what's wrong with him? You ain't check in with your father once you come back? He had to be brought back for one. He didn't want to come back. But once he was brought back, he ain't check in with his father, as they say, as the YNs say today. He ain't check in. It's so Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem and saw not the king's face. So already there's an issue. You can tell there's disrespect going on. So once that passed, we're going to go to 2 Samuel 15 again, just briefly, getting caught up with the history. We went over all these chapters in previous classes on History in the AM, so you can look those up if it suits you. It says 2 Samuel chapter 15, and we're going to start at verse 1. And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared him chariots and horses and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had a controversy came to the king for judgment. So, and controversy means he's got a suit or some type of issue, a matter that needs the king's judgment. It said, then Absalom called unto him. So he's in the way. He said, hey, come here. Let me holler at you for a second. He said, of what city art thou? And he said, thy servant is one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, see, thy matters are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. So he's sitting and he's giving subtle criticism of the king and usurping authority. He's putting himself in a position that he didn't earn. He's like, hey, I think you're right. Your whole matter, I've already judged it. So guess what? You kissing men's behinds. You tell them what they want to hear. And this is one of the key points to Absalom's personality. This is the type of man that weaves himself into positions through treachery, deceit, bribery, man-pleasing, hand-kissing, boot-licking, all those synonyms. Because he's got a greater purpose to destroy. Absalom wants to destroy his father. It says, verse 4, Absalom said, moreover, oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which have any suit or cause might come unto me, and I would do him justice. See that subtle criticism? See that contingency talk? Man, if I was judge, because I already said you're right. You're definitely right. Man, if I was judge, just be over and done with, man. But you got to deal with David and all this nonsense, this foolishness around here, But you ain't hear that from me. That's how he was getting down. Now watch this. It says verse 5. And it was so that when any man came nigh to him to do obeisance, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. That's what kind of dude we dealing with. It says verse 6. On this matter did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. He intercepted every man that came to the king for judgment. Y'all got to excuse my voice. I lost my voice over the weekend. So I can't yell like I want to yell. I'm trying to yell. But this is the type of treacherous man David had born. Watch this. It said, verse 6 again, and on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And it came to pass after 40 years. That's how long this conspiracy was going on. 40 years. That Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. So that's how, when treachery comes about, it takes a long time. It takes years. Because they're patient. They're trying to play chess with you. Oftentimes, these types of demons will play chess. Let me jump back. I'm going to go 2 Samuel. I'm just going to jump to verse 9. I'm not going to spend too long on it. Again, we're just getting caught up with the history. And now I'm jumping back to King David. So bear with me. We're going to King David for a moment before anything with Absalom to see why the spirit is installed inside of his son. Watch this. 2 Samuel chapter 12, verse 9. It says, Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword. So this is Nathan, the prophet, speaking to David after he's given David a similitude to show him his wickedness. I covered that yesterday. He's showing David, hey, listen, I had to show you this similitude of a man with his little lamb getting taken from him. So you understand this is you and Uriah the Hittite and Bathsheba, his wife. David was he was peering in on, how you say? It's not eavesdropping. I can't think of the word. Dang. Peeping Tom. I'll say it like that. He's like a peeping Tom, so to say, lusting with his eyes, looking at Bathsheba. It's like, dang, she's fine. She's somebody's wife? So, kill him. Send him out to the hot battle. I'll let the heathen deal with him. I didn't do it. But the Lord saw it. Now watch this. Verse 9. Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house. So the children of Ammon are the Japanese. So you use the Japanese to kill your enemy, who wasn't your enemy, to kill Uriah and take his wife. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. Thus saith the Lord, Behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives from before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this son. So he said, God already called what's going to happen. He called what's going to happen. You're going to get shamed. The equivalent to your sin will happen to you out of your own house. How God deems it to be, that embarrassment, that treachery will visit you. You'll have wars continually. You'll have treachery in your family, because it's not limited to just him. There's more in David's family. Verse 12. It says, For thou didst it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. So watch this. So not only did this happen with Absalom, but David also lost his son right here, as you read down. But I digress. Let's go back to Absalom. So that we were dealing with David, going back to Absalom. Give us some context and history on why Absalom's behaving like this. It's of the Lord. The Lord put this evil spirit inside this man. We're back in 2 Samuel. I'm going to go to 15 verse 10. And Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, this is after he's been taking authority and stirring up this coup, stirring up this usurping of the throne of his father. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, as soon as ye hear the sound of the trumpet, and ye shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. So it was a coordinated attack. When you hear the trumpet, go with plan A. Say, I'm the king. Because I've already taken over key positions. I already got a whole bunch of men with me. Watch this. It says, and Absalom went, and with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem. So he's got a clique. He's got a bunch of people with him that were called, and they went in their simplicity. He got stupid people. and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. That's who gets recruited. Remember 2018 in IUIC, a bunch of people in their simplicity followed some stupid people who didn't know nothing. Talking about the Sabbath is morning to morning. And they dumbass, excuse my language, they dumb self don't keep it to this day. They don't keep none of that. They don't follow none of that no more. And those that do, who are they and where are they? You can't find them. You can't find them. You can't find them. And you best believe the white man try to push them on YouTube more than us. They'll take our videos down and you'll find us 100 times more than any group that ever peeled off from us. Because you went out in your simplicity and you didn't know nothing. You forgot. You learned about the Sabbath from the bishops and deacons. You learned about a new moon, talking about the new moon dark. You ain't know what a new moon was in church. You ain't know what the moon's function was in church. But you got a bright idea. Nah, you went out in your simplicity like a dummy. You ain't know nothing. And those that have give me a sec. Those that have the urge to usurp authority and take thrones, they often do that, and they have to use stupid men. Let me get a scripture real quick. Watch this. Acts 17:5. Acts 17:5 real quick. Let me get some history on that, and I'm gonna go with the Apocrypha as well. It talks about that. Acts chapter 17, verse 5. But the Jews which believed not, moved with envy, took unto them certain lewd fellows of the baser sort. The stupid people who are lewd. That's who gets recruited into these groups. You'll find out that people like them, lewd dummies. It's a baser sort means low intelligence, low wisdom. They may have book smarts, but they're simple. They don't know nothing. Lewd fellows of the baser sort, and gathered a company, and set all the city on an uproar, and assaulted the house of Jason, and sought to bring them out to the people. All right, so yeah, that was that right there. Something else popped in my head. Let's go to Acts. Acts chapter 5. Watch this, verse 36. For before these days rose up Thaddeus, boasting himself to be somebody, to whom a number of men, about 400, so Absalom had 200, this guy had 400, joined themselves, who was slain, he was put to death, and all, as many as obeyed him, were scattered and brought to naught. You know what that proves? They're all stupid. They're all dumb. Because why wasn't there a second in command? Why did this movement stop when he went away? Where was the third in command? Why did this movement end when he died? That's how you know who's raising up leaders, and you know who's raising up dumb followers, underlings. Because when you look at the prominent groups of even today, I can name a couple people. Let's say Geno Jennings. Name Geno. Some of y'all know who that is. Like maybe y'all don't know who it is. He's good at speaking. Some of the stuff he says is clever and funny, and he speaks somewhat powerfully. He's a Christian though. With mars his beard and destroys his hair. He's a Christian. He don't keep the commandments of God. Can you name his number 2 man? Those of you that know who he is, can you name the number 2 guy? Can you name anyone else in his organization? If something happens to Geno, and I'm not asking for nothing to happen to him, but just say something happens, he leaves, or gets thrown out, or God, Lord take his life for whatever reason, that movement will fall apart. It's over. It's over. It's Geno Jennings Church. There will be the reader. He ain't taking over. That's it. Finito. Because what? He ain't making leaders over there. It's all about him. Farrakhan. Farrakhan's a terrific orator. He speaks very well. A lot of people enjoy hearing him speak. He says wise things when he uses the Bible. The Quran is garbage. But when he comes out the Bible, some pretty good stuff comes out. But if Farrakhan's gone, who's taking over? Name the number 2 guy in the Nation of Islam. Go ahead, I'll wait. Let me check comments. Y'all know the number 2 guy in the Nation of Islam? Nope, no comments. So, because nobody knows. Farrakhan's gone, that movement is going to shrink, shrivel, and become even more. It's going to become irrelevant. Watch this. Let's say we'll get one more, then I'm gonna come back to where I'm at. Let's go to the Apocrypha. Let's see if I can find it real quick. I'm gonna have to come back to it. I'll come back to it. I can't think of where it is right at the moment. I'm going to go back to 2 Samuel chapter 15 and verse 12. Verse 11. It says, "And with Absalom went out 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity. And they knew not anything. They were dumb. They were dumb. They were dumb. They were dumb." It says, "And Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Gileonite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Giloth, while he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom." Verse 14. No, I'm keep reading. Verse 13. "And there came a messenger to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom." Now everybody's turned to Absalom. "It's over, David. We got to go." And David said unto all his servants that were with him at Jerusalem, "Arise and let us flee, for we will not escape from Absalom." David's on the run. So now he's in the lowest state. He's like, we got to run from my own kingdom. My son's taking too much power, and now he's going to kill me. How did that happen? You know what the Lord said. The Lord going to raise up this evil out your house. You know this is of the Lord. Watch this. "Arise and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly, and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword." And the king's servant said unto the king, "Behold, thy servants are ready to do whatsoever my lord the king shall appoint." And the king went forth, and all his household after him. And the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep the house. So, I'm going to jump ahead. Let's talk about those 10 women and what happened to them. We're going to get to that. Let's jump to same chapter, 2 Samuel chapter 15 and verse 31. "And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness." Ahithophel was David's counselor, a very wise man whose counsel never failed. Lord, and David prayed to the Lord, turn that counsel into foolishness. So what happens, David ends up sending this man Hushai to be a double agent among Absalom's group. Hey, watch this. Verse 32. "And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount, where he worshipped God, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet him with his coat rent and earth upon his head." I'm going to jump down to verse, in the interest of time, verse 34. So here's what David said to him. "But if thou shalt return to the city and say unto Absalom," he's telling Hushai, go to Absalom instead of being with me. "I say to Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant hitherto. So will I now also be thy servant. Then mayest thou for me defeat the counsel of Ahithophel." So that was David's plan. I'm going to send Hushai to Absalom as a double agent. And that's what ended up happening. Hushai's counsel went against Ahithophel's counsel, and it confounded him. And Ahithophel ended up putting himself to death because he's never been wrong. He couldn't take it. But real quick, let's get before Ahithophel's death, he added to the treachery. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 20 again. A somewhat brief recap, been 30 minutes. Just getting us up to speed before we deal with the death of Absalom. Verse 20. "Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, Give counsel among you what we shall do. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Go in unto thy father's concubines." The fulfillment of the prophecy earlier from Nathan. "Which he hath left to keep the house." Let me get them pictures up again. Give me a sec. One sec. So it says, "Go in into thy father's concubines, which he have left to keep the house. And all Israel shall hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong." So they spread Absalom a tent They spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house. And Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. That's some treacherous stuff. That's some evil. Just popping some images up there real quick. That's evil. Of course, that's a sin. And yes, they covered a bunch of scriptures on that. But we should just know that's evil as hell. Don't lay with your father's wife. Those are lesser wives. And no, we don't have those today. Stop being wicked. Again, you work at Burger King or you're working at Walmart talking about I got 6 wives. And they all taking care of you. Y'all on EBT. That don't make no sense, do it? Does that make sense? No, you just trying to be Nick Cannon. You're a reverse Nick Cannon. That's what you are. You're a poor Nick Cannon. Thou shalt not be a poor Nick Cannon among the people. Now, we're pretty much up to speed. I hit the film. I'm going to verse 17, chapter 17, verse 23. It says, and when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, so there was counsel given, Ahithophel said, hey, let's go pounce on David right now. Now David's weak, and he was weak. Now's the time to strike. Hushai pops up and says, nah, you know David's mighty. He will whoop your behind. And then it'll mess up the whole movement. And they decided, hey, you know what? Hushai is right. Ahithophel, you're wrong. Go sit over there. Go sit in the small chair. And Ahithophel, he couldn't take it. Watch this. And verse 23 again, it says, and when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass and arose and gat him home to his house, to his city, and put his household in order and hanged himself and died and was buried in the sepulchre of his father. So he said, I can't take it. So throughout this, and there's some more other stuff that happened, but we'll cover it as we read forward. So that was a brief. I hope y'all are kind of caught up with the recap. I'm gonna get Sirach 4:27 is what I wanted to describe the followers of Absalom. Watch this. It says Sirach chapter 4 verse 27. Make not thyself an underling to a foolish man, neither accept the person of the mighty. Make not thyself an underling. That's why when these movements fall, they're over with. You're gonna see Absalom's movement fall, it's over with. Because there is no second man in charge. It was built on the ego of one man. That's why, IUIC, God forbid anything happen to any of our leaders, but it's prophesied that some of us going to get taken out. And IUIC, where they change the name, change the color, the Spirit of God is here and it ain't going nowhere. It's not going to be defeated because this ain't of men. This is of God. So you cannot overthrow it. You got to believe that and have faith in it. So when we do our works, when we're putting forth effort to bring forth the kingdom, have that in mind. We're not doing this for a man. We're doing this for Jesus Christ, the Black Messiah. We're doing it for our God. And we're going to take the kingdom back. So watch this. Let's go to 2 Samuel 18. Got it. We're kind of caught up. Now we're going to go into the death of Absalom, how he failed. So I'm going to throw some imagery up. 2 Samuel chapter 18, verse 1. And David numbered the people that were with him, and set captains over thousands and captains over hundreds over them, captains of hundreds over them. And David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab. So watch this. Let me get this image up quick. And David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab. That's one of his generals, his commanders. And a third part under the hand of Abishai, another general commander, captain, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and a third part under the hand of Ittai the Gittite. So these men we read about in the previous classes. Now these 3 men have the armies divided unto them of David. And the king said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also. So King David's like, hey, I'm coming too. King David said, I'm going out there as well. Watch what the people said. But the people answered, thou shalt not go forth. For if we flee away, they will not care for us. Neither if half of us die, will they care for us. So basically what they're saying, David, if we take off, they're not going to try to kill every one of us. We're not worth anything individually. But watch this. It says, but now thou art worth 10,000 of us. He said, if you go out there, they definitely coming for you. But if we fail, they're not going to be interested in just exterminating us. But if they see you, You're the main target. You can't go out to war. It says, therefore now it is better that thou succor us out of the city. Succor means help. It's better you stay here and succor us out of the city. And the king said unto them, what seemeth you best, I will do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Attai, saying, let me put that picture back up so you get a little imagery of it. Saying, here's what he commanded them. Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom. Here, David, he loved his son. He's like, don't hurt him. Come on, y'all. And because David got a soft spot, David also, he's likely feeling very guilty because he knows this is him. This is his judgment, his recompense. Earlier, a man, Shimei, cursed him and threw rocks at him. And instead of putting Shimei to death, he said, no, just... And the Lord told him to curse David. Let him curse. We're going to deal with Shimei a little later. So he said, deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom. And all the people heard when the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom. So these men heard the charge. They heard it. They heard it. So keep that in mind. David was clear. Hey, just deal gently with him. Verse 6. So the people went out in the field against Israel. So this is civil war. This is Israel on Israel violence. And the battle was in the wood of Ephraim. So they were in the forest with this. Excuse me. Where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David. And there was a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men. 20,000 men. 20,000 men. So this is a big battle. Let me throw that back up. So if you look at that image, you might can count 20,000 out of that. Those would be the dead bodies of a civil war. It says, for the battle was scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. So it said the forest ate up more people than the sword. It said, and Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak. Now hold on, I got imagery. I got the correct imagery. Give me a second. Oh, you know what? I might not. Thought I had it. Now bear with me. I'll get it together. Thought I had that ready. Hold on. I think I got it. I'll get it for you in a second. So it says, and Absalom. Let me switch back to the camera. And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule. And the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and was taken up between the heaven and the earth. And the mule that was under him went away. So let me show you what it won't. It won't this. That don't make no sense. It's not this. Look at the other image. It's not. It damn sure ain't this. Does this even make sense, y'all? Does that make sense? All right. Y'all bear with me. I'm trying to find that one image. I know I have it. So I did a better recreation of what happened. I'm gonna get that loaded real quick. But anyway, It says, his head caught hold of the yoke and was taken up between the heaven and the earth, and the mule that was under him went away. So you got to explain this to me. How in the hell is a white man? You know, there's no racism involved. It's just, how does white man, picture Caucasian hair, is it holding a man's body up? No. It's thin. It's falling apart. Goat hair ain't getting stuck in nothing. And if it do get stuck, it's just getting pulled out of the head. It's thin anyway. It's thin anyway. You talking about that conspiracy lasted all those years. Absalom ain't in his teenage years. So this is an older man's hair. You picture an older Caucasian man getting stuck in a tree by his hair. It's not happening. There's no tensile strength to that hair. But think of a black man's hair. We go back to those images. Just think of a black man's hair. Now, is that getting stuck in a tree? Yes. Are you hanging from that? Yes. You are stuck. You are stuck. That gets tangled up in something, you are stuck, my friends. You ain't getting out. Y'all bear with me. I know I got the image. I apologize. I know I got the image. All right, y'all bear with me 1 second. I got the image. Give me 1 sec. All right, bear with me 1 second. I'm getting it loaded. All right, here we go. This makes more sense. Y'all let me know. What makes more sense? Was it the white guy or that thick head of hair getting stuck in that tree? Here's another one. That could happen. All the hair that man has on his head, that'll happen. That looks biblical. That looks biblical to me. I don't know about y'all. I'm going to read again. It says, and Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule. And the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and was taken up between the heaven and the earth. And the mule that was under him went away. And a certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said, behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. And Joab said unto the man that told him, and behold, thou sawest him. And why didn't thou smite him? That was said, why didst thou not smite him there to the ground? He said, you saw him, why didn't you kill him? Joab wanted him dead. Joab was like, we're going to kill this dude. We heard what the king said, but shoot, you saw him, why didn't you kill him? He says, and I would have given thee 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. And the man said to Joab, though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in mine hand, yet would I not put forth mine hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged thee and Abishai and Ittai, saying, beware that none touch the young man Absalom. So everybody heard what the order. Don't touch Absalom. Don't touch him. So he's sitting there stuck in a tree. And Joab was like, man, why the hell you ain't kill him? He said, verse 13, otherwise I should have wrought falsehood against mine own life. For it's no matter hid from the king. And thou thyself wouldst have set thyself against me. And you know that's true. He said, listen, I don't care how much you pay me. I ain't going to put forth my hand against the king's son. Especially after the king said don't touch him. And you be the main one come kill me when I did it. And he would have been. That's exactly what happened. Joab was like, hey, kill that dude. Thank you for your service. Kill that guy. He would have been the first one to lay hands on him. That's the kind of spirit he had on him. Verse 14. Excuse me. Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom while he was yet alive in the midst of the oak. So he was still hanging there, alive. And he thrust them through and killed him. So Joab killed him. Then 10 young men that bare Joab's armor, his armor bearers, compassed about and smote Absalom and slew him. So you see the men over there in the bottom left-hand corner. They jumped and then they helped put that man to death. Beat him down. They slaughtered him. And Joab blew a trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel, for Joab held back the people. And they took Absalom and cast him into a great pit in the wood, and laid a very great heap of stones upon him. And all Israel fled, every one to his tent. So they put him to death, and they threw him in a hole and covered him with stones. It says, verse 18. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken up and reared up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's dale. And he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name. And it is called this day Absalom's place. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok. Now they're trying to deliver the news. Trying to figure out how we're going to give this news to him. So that was the end of Absalom. He's dead. Got his hit. And that's, how they say poetic justice. That long hair got you caught up. All your treachery. You got caught up. Literally. Pun intended. It says, and Joab said unto him. Let me start verse 19 again. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, let me now run and bear the king tidings, how the Lord hath avenged him of his enemies. He always got that one brother that want to just run and do stuff. He's like, calm down. This is that guy. So Joab said unto him, thou shalt not bear tidings this day, but thou shalt bear tidings another day. But this day thou shalt bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. Not the right time for good tidings. Means good news. It's not the right time for good news. Then said Joab to Cushai, go tell the king what thou hast seen. And Cushai bowed himself unto Joab and ran. So he gave the order to somebody else. Hey, go tell the king what you saw. Then said Joab, verse 22. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, yet again to Joab. So this is the first brother. He said, but howsoever, let me, I pray thee, also run after Cushai. It's like, first, sit down somewhere. He says, and Joab said, wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing thou hast no tidings ready? You don't got no good news for nobody. And I just told you to wait. He said, but howsoever, said he, let me run. And he said unto him, run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and overran Cushai. So he done ran so fast he ran past the first guy. He's such in a hurry to do nothing. And David sat between the 2 gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate unto the wall, and lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, a man running alone. And the watchman cried and told the king, and the king said, if he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace and drew near. So now got everybody's hopes up. And the watchman saw another man running. And the watchman called unto the porter and said, behold, another man running alone. And the king said, he also bringeth tidings. And the watchman said, methinketh the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok. And the king said, he is a good man, and cometh with good tidings. So you got the king all hyped up for good. Boy, sit your butt down somewhere. Not the king all expecting good news. And Ahimaaz called and said unto the king, all is well. No, it's not. It is, but it ain't. All is well. And he fell down to the earth upon his face before the king, and said, blessed be the Lord thy God, which have delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against the Lord my lord the king. And the king said, is the young man Absalom safe? And Ahimaaz answered, when Joab sent the king's servant and me, thy servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. It's like you were down there just to say nothing. Stop. Sometimes you just gotta play your position. Wait. You went there to say nothing. And the king said unto him, turn aside and stand here. He said, get out of the way. Go stand over there. And he turned aside and stood still. And behold, Cushai came. And Cushai said, tidings, my lord the king, for the Lord hath avenged thee this day of all them that rose up against thee. So he gave, gave a report of what happened today. All that came against you have been avenged. And the king said unto Cushai, is the young man Absalom safe? And Cushai answered, the enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against thee to do thee hurt, be as that young man is. So he said in the kind of a hip talk kind of way. He said, listen, everybody that came against you is dead. Like Absalom. That's what he said without saying it. And the king was much moved. I mean, he got real emotional. And went up to the chamber over the gate and wept. And as he went, thus he said, oh, my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would God I had died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son. So, man, David took total blame, and he was tore up over this. Chapter 19, verse 1. And it was told Joab, behold, the king weepeth and mourneth for Absalom. And the victory that day was turned into mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son. That's why it's like, hey, you ain't got no good news to give today. It's going to suck for the king to hear this. But you in a hurry to tell the king, this is horrible. But at the same time, glorious battle was won. But it's going to affect the king very deeply. And the people got them by stealth that day into the city, as people being ashamed steal away when they flee in battles. People snuck back in. But the king covered his face. And the king cried with a loud voice, oh, my son Absalom, oh, Absalom, my son, my son. And Joab came into the house to the king and said, thou hast... Now look at Joab. Joab mad. And Joab came into the house to the king and said, thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life. See, look how you behaving. We saved your life. He was coming to kill you. And look how you acted. It says, and the life of thy sons and of thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives, and the lives of thy concubines, in that thou lovest thine enemies, and hatest thy friends. Now here is a precept for love your enemies. Now David, this is what he did. His enemy was his own son. These are the enemies that is talking. Let's go to Matthew real fast. What time is it? Okay, we good. Matthew chapter 5. And 44. Y'all know what I want. It says, but I say unto you, love your enemies. David was doing that. Everybody mad at him because of it. It's like, this dude was evil. He was so evil. That's his blood. But I say unto you, love your enemies. Bless them that curse you. And do good to them that hate you. And pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. David did that with Saul, King Saul as well. And he was trying to do that with his son. Even his son that pursued after him to kill him. He said, deal gently with him. That's loving your enemies. Not love the white man. That don't make no sense. He has no conscience. At least with your own people, there's a chance the Lord could intervene and give them a conscience and cause them to repent. But Esau would never repent. Moab would not repent. The Hagarenes, the Gebal, the nations of Ham, Ishmael, Japhet, there's no conscience. They are different people. You're just playing to their hands. The enemies is of your own people. Let me go to Hosea 4:1 right fast. Hosea 4:1. Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel, for the Lord hath a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth, nor mercy, nor knowledge of God in the land, by swearing and lying, and killing and stealing, and committing adultery. They break out, and blood toucheth blood. There it is. Blood touch blood. That's black on black crime. That's even what we're reading here. A father had to go to war with his son. A son pursued after his own father. Watch this. It says, get that scripture real quick. Let's see. I think it's Micah. Let's see. Micah 2. In verse 8, it says, Micah 2 and 8, even of late, my people is risen up as an enemy. This is the same thing. Enemy to who? Each other. Even of late, my people is risen up as an enemy. Ye pull off the robe with the garment from them that pass by securely, as men averse from war. So what it's talking about? Black on black crime. The civil war we just witnessed. That's Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom vexing each other and envying each other. We are our own enemy. That's what we were just reading. That was a whole civil war. 20,000 men died, including the king's son, off an internal struggle because we've risen up as our own enemy. And that's the type of treachery. And I believe it's some Game of Thrones type stuff. I ain't really seen the show. But brothers tell me this is the same stuff that go on in the show if y'all watch that. Everybody can't watch it, though, because there's a lot of stuff in there. Some risky stuff, some nudity in there. I'm not advocating watching it, but it's the type of drama you'll see in shows like the Game of Thrones, and I think it's House of Dragon, and even I think there's some elements of the Lord of the Rings. If you watch those types of movies, there'll be elements of that in there. All right, if that makes sense to you. Treachery, things of that nature. Watch this. We're going to go back now. 2 Samuel. We're at chapter 19, verse 6 again. It says, in that thou lovest thine enemies, and hatest thy friends. For thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither princes nor servants. This is Joab speaking to King David. So you don't care about the princes. You don't care about your servants. It says, for this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived and all we had died this day, then it had pleased thee well. That's the kind. He said, I question your judgment. I bet if Absalom lived and everybody was dead, you'd be happy. He said, that's how hard he came at David, because of how David was just mourning sore. It's like, man, people died out there. People died because your selfish, evil son. But David know what he did. Same way he didn't order for, and we're going to read down. I got some time. You see David's mercy that he's showing to different people, because he knows he's not guiltless. You understand? He's got remorse. And when you're in that lowest state, you're thinking, you can only ponder what a king is thinking. The responsibility of a king. How your actions, the more you increase in this truth, the more your actions begin to have a direct effect on those around you and your own life and your own household. It's no longer just, oops, I stubbed my toe. Now it's like, something real bad's happened. I don't even want to say it because I'm scared it happened to me. But real bad judgments come about, and it's not just, oh, I stubbed my toe because I did something wicked. It'd be like, oh, my son left the truth, or your wife committed adultery, God forbid. And then it's like, yeah, they did the evil, but why did something so bad happen to me? Sure, it's for my chastening, it's for a trial. But dang, am I innocent of all things? Am I getting a subtle rebuke from the Lord? Do I need to check myself? Is this causing me to examine my house? Watch this. You start having things like that happen. It calls for deeper examination. We heading into Passover. We got to get the leaven out. Leaven is equivalent to sin. Well, let's get that real quick. Passover starting not too long from now. 1 Corinthians 5 and 6, it says, your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. So out of a whole lump of dough, it don't take that much yeast to make it rise. So same with sin. It don't take that much sin to infect the body. Watch this. It says, purge ye out, therefore, the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump. So that's a 2-3-fold parable right there. Leaven, yeast and bread. It's also talking about your sins in your body or your family. It's also talking about, here in context, they had a fornicator among them that they didn't get rid of. This man laid with his father's wife. It's in verse 1. Similar to Absalom. But the leaders of the Corinthians didn't judge that matter correctly and left him there. And then Paul's warning them, don't you know leaving that little bit of leaven there, not judging that matter correctly, will contaminate the whole body? That's the other meaning of it. In context. It says, watch it, I'll read verse 1. It says, it is reported commonly that there is fornication among you. And such fornication is not so much as named among the Gentiles that one should have his father's wife. That's wrong. There's a man with having his father's wife among you. It says, and ye are puffed up. Leaven makes you rise. Sin puff you up. It says, ye are puffed up and have not rather mourned that he that have done this deed might be taken away from among you. This guy's still among you. Like the Christian church got all these pedophiles among them. The Catholic church and the regular church too. You see all these whoremongers among you. He's got these extortioners among you. They ain't getting rid of them people. Even when they find them in evil, they keep them right around them. That's why the church is swollen to the wicked size it is. It's not full of righteousness. It's full of evil. And it's decaying and falling apart. But it rose to prominence through all that sin. When you allow sin, there's a ton of people that'll come in. All that sin will bring plenty of people in. And you'll look big, and you'll look glorious, you'll look holy, but you're full of sin, and you'll fall apart because you're not of God. Watch this, verse 3. For I verily, as absent in body, but present in spirit, have judged already. So I'm not there, but I'm there in the spirit. And I already judged this matter, as though I were present, concerning him that have done this deed. See, it's obvious for me to see that this man laying with his father's wife gotta go. It says, in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, when you are gathered together, and my spirit, with the power of our Lord Jesus Christ, to deliver such a one unto Satan, for the destruction of the flesh, that the spirit might be saved in the day of the Lord Jesus. He said, you got to take that man, chasten him, throw his ass out. Got to get him out of there. Deliver him to Satan. Sometimes that's in our family. We know we got that child is off. You know, that child is, you got to keep, remember, you got a stubborn and rebellious son. Now, I'm not telling you what to do. You got to seek counsel on these things. But the kid don't keep the commandments, and the kid's not respectful, the kid violent, the kid saying you in a cult, you got a decision to make. He don't want to be there anyway. You got a decision to make. I ain't telling you what to do, but the Bible tell you, you deliver such a one into Satan. So maybe Satan jack him up just enough to bring him back to his senses. But you coddling people, remember that Bishop gave that analogy the other Sabbath. You help the baby bird out of the eggshell, and you don't allow him to go through that trial. You make a weak bird. The bird come out weak. He didn't have to struggle. He come out spoiled. And that's what we find with some of these children in the scriptures. Not just Absalom. You also find Rehoboam, the son of Solomon. He's kind of the same way. He came out an idiot. Because what? Good times make soft men. Or we say, good times make weak men. Weak men make hard times. Hard times make strong men. And it's like a cycle. And then the strong men make good times. And then it just, the thing can repeat until the last days when Christ the Black Messiah rose up. And it won't be no more. It'll be all good times. But I pray that made sense. Let me go verse 8. Verse 7 again says, 1 Corinthians 5 and 7, purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. Because God wants the bread unleavened. He wants the body unleavened. He don't want no sin in it. He wants you unleavened. You remove and purge out, or I say we, purge out those infirmities, those sins that are in us. I'm going to prove that leaven is sin in the next verse. It says, as ye are unleavened, for even Christ our Passover is sacrificed for us. He's the sacrifice for our sins. It says, therefore, let us keep the feast. So that don't mean that the feast is done away with. We continue to keep the feast in the name of Christ. Not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness. That's how you know the leaven is symbolic of sin. Malice is that evil intent. Wickedness is sin. It says, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. And you know the truth, Psalms 119, 142. Thy law is the truth. So, I'm going to go back. 2 Samuel. Still got some time. 2 Samuel in verse 7. So again, Joab voicing his complaints to David. Man, I'm going to read verse 6 again. It says, in that thou lovest thine enemies, and hatest thy friends, for thou hast declared this day, that thou regardest neither princes nor servants. But this day I perceive, that if Absalom had lived, and all we had died this day, then it had pleased thee well. So he was saying, Get the leaven out. Before the whole leaven thing is like, man, you should have had the leaven out. You should have been had it out. Take this. You should have took that man out. He was leaven. He said, David, you would have liked the leaven to be here and the rest of us to be gone. Verse 7. Now therefore arise, go forth, and speak comfortably unto thy servants. For I swear by the Lord, if thou go not forth, there will not tarry one with thee this night, and that will be worse unto thee than all the evil that befell thee from thy youth until now. He said, we're going to abandon you. It's going to be way worse for you if you can't go and speak peacefully to these people and assure them, your stability, that you are all right. Go speak comfortably to this people. Don't just be sitting here wailing over your son. Watch this, verse 8. Then the king arose and sat in the gate. And they told unto all the people, saying, Behold, the king doth sit in the gate. And all the people came before the king, for Israel had fled every man to his tent. And all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king saved us out of the hand of our enemies, and he delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines. And now he is fled out of the land for Absalom. And Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now therefore, why speak ye not a word of bringing the king back? And the king David sent to Zadok and Abiathar, the priests, saying, Speak unto the elders of Judah, saying, Why are ye the last to bring the king back to his house? Seeing the speech of all Israel is come to the king, even to his house. So they're like, why ain't the leadership welcome back the king? Look at all this stuff that happened. We need some stability. The elders of Judah should be the whole, ceremonial type deal. Hey, and then David's like, hey, ask the elders of Judah, why ain't they came and brought me back and made it official? It says, now hey, listen to how he pleads to him. He says, Ye are my brethren, ye are my bones and my flesh. Wherefore then are ye the last to bring back the king? He said, man, you are my brothers. You are my family. Why are you the last ones to bring me back? And say ye to Amasai, art thou not of my bone and of my flesh? God do so to me, and more also, if thou be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. And he bowed the heart of all the men of Judah, even as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word unto the king, Return thou and all thy servants. So that speech reunited the leadership. It reunited Judah and gave them back confidence in their king. Said it became like one man, and he said, come back, king. So the king returned and came to Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal, and to go to meet the king, to conduct the king over Jordan. And Shimei, the son of Gerah, a Benjamite, which was of Bahurim, hasted and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. And there were 1,000 men of Benjamin with him. And Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons, and his 20 servants with him. And they went over Jordan before the king. And there went, so these brothers were mentioned in other chapters. Shimei, however you pronounce it, he was the one that tossed rocks at David and cursed him. And David allowed him to live. And then Ziba brought provisions to David and also spoke in the name of Mephibosheth, but he actually kind of lied about Mephibosheth's words. That's some stuff later. So watch this. Where we at? 6:12. All right, I got a little more time. Verse 18. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household and to do what he thought good. And Shimei, the son of Gerah, fell down before the king as he was come over Jordan. Let me get that image real quick. So he fell down and defeated the king. Watch this. And he said unto the king, Let not my lord impute iniquity unto me. Neither do thou remember that which thy servant did perversely the day that my lord the king went out of Jerusalem, that the king should take it to his heart. Watch this. Let's go to chapter 16 to remind y'all what happened. 2 Samuel chapter 16, verse 5. And when King David came to Bahurim, behold, thence came out a man of the family of the house of Saul, a Benjamite, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gerah. He came forth and cursed still as he came. So he cursed the king. Ooh, that's bad. And he cast stones at David. He threw rocks at the king. Ooh, that's bad. And that all the servants of King David, and all the people, and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. And thus said Shimei when he cursed, come out, thou bloody man, thou man of Baal. So he called him the devil. He called David the devil. The Lord hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou hast reigned. Said, and the Lord hath delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. And behold, thou art taken in thy mischief, because thou art a bloody man. So he exposed David's business, put David's business all out there. Then said Abishai the son of Zeruiah unto the king, why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. And the king said, what have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah? Oh, let me take the image down. What have I to do to you, ye sons of Zeruiah? He's talking to Abishai. So let him curse, because the Lord hath said unto him, curse David. Who shall then say, wherefore hast thou done so? And David said to Abishai, and to all his servants, behold, my son, which came forth from my bowels, seeketh my life. How much more now may this Benjamite do it? Let him alone, let him curse, for the Lord hath bidden him. It may be that the Lord will look upon mine affliction, and that the Lord will requite me good for his cursing this day. So David was showing a heavy level of patience, even though this evil's happening to me. Hey, maybe good will come. I just allow this man to curse me. Let the bad things come. I covered that yesterday in the class. Let the bad things come. We got to do that as well. We got to endure hardness. Watch this. Sirach chapter 2. I got about 15 minutes. Sirach chapter 2 in verse... we got to read verse 1 through 5 every time. Sirach chapter 2 verse 1. My son, if thou come to serve the Lord, prepare thy soul for temptation. You will face temptation in this walk. Set thy heart aright. Set your mind right. And constantly endure, no matter what. Stay in his truth. Don't take a step back. Don't abandon your offices. Don't step down from your rank. Don't stop attending the Sabbath. Don't give up on your marriage. Don't give up on your children. Unless you got an unbeliever in there. That's something different. They'll leave. But if you both join together in this walk, y'all both repentant Israelites, don't give up on your marriage. Fight for your wife. Fight for your children. Don't just say, get the hell out. Don't be the first one to say that. Give counsel. Counsel first. A lot of people, you just make decisions on your children without seeking counsel. Because who knows? You just think you know best. They're your children. They are your children. But fight for them. Use counsel. With good counsel, make war. And you may save someone. It may be something you did that you got to correct. Or it may be that you need to be patient. But if you just hastily throw your kids out, you never know. Or you just, without counsel, keep bad kids in. You never know. You might be bringing a curse into your house. But all things use counsel and have endurance. So it says, verse 2, set thy heart aright and constantly endure, and make not haste in time of trouble. Don't give up. Cleave unto him and depart not away, that thou mayest be increased in thy last end. So whatever you go through is to make you stronger. It says, whatsoever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully. There's David. He got cursed and rocks thrown at him. He took it. Whatever is brought upon thee, take cheerfully, and be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. David was very low, on the run from his own son. It don't get much lower than that. His son is sleeping with his wives in front of all Israel. It don't get much lower than that. He said, be patient when thou art changed to a low estate. For gold is tried in the fire, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. Gold is tried, is refined in fire. The gold among us will be made manifest by the fire. It says, and acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. The same way that gold must be put inside that hot oven, molten, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of degrees. You must be put through trials and tribulations of equivalent degrees, hot tribulations, painful trials. It says, verse 6, believe in him. That's David, because he's naming the Lord. He said, the Lord told me to do that. He said, believe in him, and he will help thee. Order thy way aright and trust in him. And that's what David did. So I'm going to go back now. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 20. I went to the history when Shimei threw the rocks at David. Now I'm going to read what David says before the judgment of Shimei. For thy servant doth know that I have sinned. This is Shimei speaking to David. For thy servant doth know that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I am come the first this day of all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my lord the king. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, answered and said, Shall not Shimei be put to death for this? Because he cursed the Lord's anointed. And David said, What have I to do with you, ye sons of Zeruiah, that ye should this day be adversaries unto me? Shall dare any man be put to death this day in Israel? For do not I know that I am this day king over Israel? Therefore the king said unto Shimei, Thou shalt not die. And the king sware unto him. He said, listen good. David said, I'm not killing anybody today. I'm done with that for today. Listen good, I'm not killing anybody today. Now what you read later in chapters, he get his. He gets put to death under King Solomon. That transition of power, go kill Shimei. Let me get it real quick. I think I wrote that down. Where did I write that down? I ain't looked at my notes once. I didn't write it down. How about that? Let me see. Let me find it. It's in 1 Kings, I believe. Yep. 1 Kings chapter 2 and I'll read verse 1. I'm going to jump down. It says, Now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, saying, so then he gave Solomon certain orders. Verse 8. And said, Behold, thou hast with thee Shimei, the son of Gera, a Benjamite of Bahurim, which cursed me with a grievous curse in the day when I went to Mahanaim. But he came down to meet me at Jordan, and I swear to him by the Lord, saying, I will not put thee to death with the sword. Thou therefore hold him not guiltless, for thou art a wise man, and knowest what thou oughtest to do with him. But his whorehead bring thou down to the grave with blood. He said, Hey, I said I wouldn't kill him. Solomon, you know what to do with that. Take care of that thing. You know he cursed the king. So he got his. Let's see if I can find it real quick. Real fast. Where is it? So you don't curse the king and think you get away with it. Say he fell upon him. Yeah, I think this is it. No, that's Joab. Let's see. Give me a sec. Yeah, I think this is it. 1 Kings. I'll find it in a minute. What do I find it for class? Yeah, here it is. 1 Kings chapter 2, verse 44. The king said moreover to Shimei, Thou knowest all the wickedness which thine heart is privy to, that thou didst to David my father. Therefore the Lord shall return thy wickedness upon thine own head, and King Solomon shall be blessed, and the throne of David shall be established before the Lord forever. So the king commanded Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, which went out, and it fell upon him. He fell upon Shimei, that he died. Fell upon means he went to stabbing and slicing. And the kingdom was established in the hand of Solomon. So he got his. You ain't throwing rocks at the king and cursing and just getting away scot-free. Now David at that time is like, listen, I swear I will not touch you. I won't do it. Me. Then his son's like, hey Solomon, kill that guy. Kill that guy. You see what he did to me? I was running, he throwing rocks. Kill that guy. I know I said I wouldn't do it, but you're not me. Watch this. 2 Samuel chapter 19, verse 24. And Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king, and neither dressed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes. Now, we go into that often to describe brothers that's dressed bummy. You know, you don't take care of yourself. You're not groomed. You know, it also shows that we trim our beards. It's a normal custom to keep our beards trimmed. So you can, you know, go to a barber and look nice. You don't got to just sit there and be scruffled and, I forget the word for it. You just don't look right. Nappy and out of sorts. Keep yourself together. So Mephibosheth hadn't done these things. Why? It says, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed unto the day he came again in peace. So he didn't take care of himself. He was worried about the king. So he didn't think of his own appearance. It says, it came to pass when he was come to Jerusalem to meet the king said unto him, Wherefore wentest not thou with me, Mephibosheth? And he answered, My lord, O king, my servant deceived me. He said, my servant Ziba, who came in Mephibosheth's name, actually deceived him. We talked about him a couple classes ago. For but thy servant said, I will saddle me an ass, that I may ride thereon, and go to the king, because thy servant is lame, meaning handicapped. Excuse me. And he have slandered thy servant unto my lord the king. Meaning he lied on what I said. But my lord the king is as an angel of God. Do therefore what is good in thine eyes. Now watch this. I'm going to show you real quick the slander. Going back to chapter 16. 16 real quick. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him with a couple of asses saddled, and upon them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bunches of raisins, and 100 of summer fruits, and a bottle of wine. And the king said unto Ziba, What meanest thou by these? And Ziba said, The asses be for the king's household to ride on, and the bread and summer fruit for the young men to eat, and wine that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. Excuse me. And the king said, Where is thy master's son? Where's Mephibosheth? And Ziba said unto the king, Behold, he abideth at Jerusalem, for he said, Today shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. So, he didn't say that. Ziba made that up. So, Mephibosheth saying he slandered me. So, I'm going to go back. Verse 27, 2 Samuel 19:27. And he hath slandered thy servant unto my lord the king. But my lord the king is as an angel of God. That's how we know. That's an angel got us a messenger. It says, Do therefore what is good in thine eyes. For all of my father's house were but dead men before my lord the king. Yet didst thou set thy servant among them that did eat at thine own table. What right, therefore, have I yet to cry any more unto the king? Mephibosheth was very appreciative of David for taking care of him. And the king said unto him, Why speakest thou any more of thy matters? I have said, Thou and Ziba divide the land. And Mephibosheth said unto the king, Yea, let him take all, for as much as my lord the king is come again in peace unto his own house. And Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Rogelim, and went over Jordan with the king, to conduct him over Jordan. And Barzillai, so you see Mephibosheth said, let him have it. I'm just glad you back. So about to wrap it up. Let me just jump down. Time's about up. Let's see. Yeah, actually, I think I'm gonna cut it right there. We're starting to go into another topic. But so that's the history. Now, we already passed Absalom's death. But then all matters are becoming settled that kind of came up. Ziba, Mephibosheth, Shimei. Shimei, he's going to face judgment later on under, in the next book. He's going to get his judgment as we read. But David returned to the kingdom, and the evil that permeated his house through Absalom was put down. Now, the other evils is going to arise, but at least through Absalom, that was put away and taken down. So let's go to Psalms. And I'm going to go back to verse 51 again. It says, Have mercy upon me, O God, according to thy loving kindness, according unto the multitude of thy tender mercies. Blot out my transgressions, as we are cleansing ourselves of sins and leaven. Let us pray this prayer. Let us say these things to the Most High as well as David did. He said, Wash me thoroughly from mine iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. For I acknowledge my transgressions, and my sin is ever before me. Against thee only have I sinned, and done this evil in thy sight, that thou mightest be justified when thou speakest, and be clear when thou judgest. Behold, I was shapen in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. Look at us. We're in captivity under the white man's rule, and we're being fed by the face of the serpent poisonous media, poisonous culture. We know nothing but death. We know nothing but our own self-destruction. We were shaping in iniquity. Verse 6, behold, thou desirest truth in the inward parts. In the mind, God wants his laws installed in us. He wants the laws to convert us to truth. It says, in the hidden part, thou shalt make me to know wisdom. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. There's things that wash you are the words of God. That's the brainwashing. That's the understanding of God that will cleanse you. It says, make me to hear joy and gladness, that the bones which thou hast broken may rejoice. Hide thy face from my sins, and blot out all mine iniquities. Create in me a clean heart, O God, and renew a right spirit within me. Cast me not away from thy presence, and take not thy Holy Spirit from me. Restore unto me the joy of thy salvation, and uphold me with thy free spirit. Then will I teach transgressors thy ways, and sinners shall be converted unto thee. Deliver me from blood guiltiness, O God, thou God of my salvation. And my tongue shall sing aloud of thy righteousness. O Lord, open thou my lips, and my mouth shall show forth thy praise. For thou desirest not sacrifice, else I would give it. Thou delightest not in burnt offering. The sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart, O God, thou wilt not despise. So you see through that process, David had been broken and made better. There's a process where breaking something, like your muscles, tearing them slightly, makes them stronger over time. You understand? It's called anti-fragility. It's the building up of yourselves. And it takes destruction, a slight destruction to your life, to kind of activate the healing mechanisms that will increase you, make you stronger. Your muscles get bigger because you tore them and they rebuild themselves. You see martial artists that punch trees and things of that nature, or kick a tree or kick something to make their shins stronger, to make their knuckles harder. And that's a process you go through with your spirit. It says, verse 17, the sacrifices of God are a broken spirit, a broken and contrite heart, O God, thou wilt not despise. It says, do good in thy good pleasure unto Zion. Build thou the walls of Jerusalem. Then shalt thou be pleased with the sacrifices of righteousness, with burnt offering and whole burnt offering. Then shall they offer bullocks upon thine altar. Hey, so it's right at 6:30. Hey, support the Booster Club. That's going to conclude my little series on Absalom. I pray you at least understand the history of it, and take away a bunch of lessons from that history. It's very heavy history. Is there Absaloms among us all the time? You might be Absalom yourself. Shoot, I gotta look at myself. Am I Absalom? You gotta watch that spirit. All right. Support the Booster Club. Land Blitz. All right. Send in your donations. Commit. Especially you brothers wearing shirts like mine. What's wrong with you? You better commit something. You should have already done it by now, and fulfilled that pledge. Also, subscribe to IUIC Raleigh. Subscribe. Escape the Plantation 2.0, and you got the Armor of God radio show. And also, all the bishops and deacons, shout out to them. Honors to the bishops, the deacons, the captains. Get ready for Passover. Get the leaven out your houses and out your spirit. I've been Officer Ray Well, IUIC Raleigh. And with that, I say shalom, Israel. We'll sign Christ bless.